We like to think cooking is our greatest invention, the very thing that separates us from animals. But cooking did not actually make us human. Something far stranger happened first, and we did not even choose it. So, how did fire end up inside our food? Imagine East Africa nearly 2 million years ago. A hairy ancestor crouches on the open savanna, chewing raw roots for hours. With a fist-sized jaw and a bloated stomach, he is exhausted. The tough food barely provides enough energy to digest it. It is a miserable life of chewing and parasites. Change was coming, but nobody planned it. A sudden wildfire sweeps across the grassy plains, leaving behind smoke and blackened earth. After the flames pass, our early ancestors creep out to scavenge the wreckage. Instead of the usual tough, raw food, they find something miraculous. There are animals caught in the fire, fallen fruits, and roasted seeds. For the first time, their food is soft, rich in energy, and easy to eat right away. They do not have to chew for hours just to get a few calories. We can still find traces of this ancient shift today. At the Wonderwork Cave site in South Africa, scientists discovered burned bones and plant ash from nearly 1 million years ago. This is the oldest confirmed proof of humans using controlled fire. However, these early humans did not suddenly invent cooking. At first, they simply stayed close to natural fires and ate the leftovers. They followed the smoke and learned that burned food tasted better and felt better in their stomachs. It was a partnership built on accidents, long before anyone ever figured out how to rub two sticks together to spark a brand new flame. Scientist Richard Wrangham discovered a fascinating secret about this shift, called the cooking hypothesis. He realized that cooked food gives us much more usable energy per bite than raw food. Even better, it takes almost no work for our bodies to break down. Think of cooking as a way of digesting food outside the body. Because the heat from the fire does the heavy lifting first, our stomachs do not have to work nearly as hard. This extra energy did something incredible. It did not just fill our ancestors' bellies, it funded the growth of their brains. Over thousands of years, a strange trade-off happened inside the human body. Because early humans no longer needed giant digestive systems to process tough, raw plants, their guts actually shrank. At the exact same time, their skulls expanded to hold larger brains. By making food soft and easy to digest, cooking gave our ancestors the massive energy boost needed to power a bigger mind. In a very real way, fire did not just change what we put into our bodies, it physically built the shape of the modern human head. Over time, our ancestors stopped just chasing accidental wildfires. Instead, they learned a new trick, keeping the fire alive. Across Africa and Europe, scientists have found ancient fire pits, called hearths. These were not random burn marks. They were deliberate places where early humans kept logs burning day after day, year after year. This change completely shifted how humans lived together. Once the sun went down, the open plains became dangerous and freezing. The bright flame acted like a magnet, pulling everyone into a tight circle for safety and warmth. Inside this circle, the shared meal was born. Before fire, each creature gathered and chewed its own raw food alone. Now, they had to sit together and wait for the food to cook. This waiting forced them to talk and make deals. Long before modern languages existed, our ancestors had to figure out the rules of the camp. They had to decide who got to eat the first bite, whose job it was to collect firewood, and how to share meat with those who were too old or sick to hunt. Fire brought us together, forcing us to become a team. By about 300,000 years ago, fire was no longer just a wild force that humans followed. It was something they owned. Early humans began building fire pits like real structures, carefully placing them at the exact center of their living spaces. We can see amazing proof of this inside Kesem Cave in Israel. There, archaeologists found a massive central hearth that was used over and over again for tens of thousands of years. Around this ancient fire pit lay piles of wood ash and animal bones covered in butchering marks. This discovery marks the exact moment cooking stopped being just a survival habit and became true culture. The fire pit was no longer just a tool for roasting meat, it was the heart of the community. It stayed in one place, lasting longer than any single human life. Generations of families returned to the exact same spot to cook, eat, and sleep. By claiming the flame and building a permanent hearth around it, our ancestors stopped wandering the wilderness. For the very first time in history, humans had invented a home. However, this great change came with a hidden cost. By relying so much on cooked food, our ancestors lost their independence. When they began roasting everything over flames, they lost out on certain vitamins that heat easily destroys. They also stopped eating a wide variety of wild, raw plants. More importantly, our bodies changed so much that we could not go back. Because our stomachs had already shrunk around easy, cooked calories, we became completely trapped by our own invention. An early human who lost their fire or did not know how to tend it was suddenly in deep trouble. They could no longer get enough energy from raw wilderness food to stay alive. Cooking did not just make us stronger, it also made us fragile in a brand new way. We became the only creatures on Earth dependent on a tool just to digest our meals. Without the flame, our small guts and weak jaws simply cannot process enough wild food to keep us moving. By taming fire, we won the world, but we also signed a permanent contract with the spark. We became the only animal that can starve to death surrounded by its own natural food supply. This ancient dependency is still running inside us today. In fact, our modern grocery stores are filled with the ultimate version of cooked food, ultra-processed snacks. Fast food, chips, and sweet treats are designed to give us the absolute maximum amount of energy with almost zero work for our stomachs. They are so soft and broken down that our bodies digest them instantly. Our million-year-old brains still look at these easy calories and reward us for eating them. Back on the wild savanna, finding soft, energy-rich food meant survival. Today, our bodies still think we are starving hunters who need to pack on fat for a long winter. Because of this, the modern struggles with weight and health are not just about a lack of willpower. Instead, it is a clash between our ancient instincts and the modern world. We carry the biology of ancestors who had to fight for every single calorie, but we now live in a world where extra-cooked, high-energy food is everywhere. Our greatest survival trick has become our biggest trap, showing that we are still guided by the same fire that changed us so long ago. Think back to that ancient ancestor crouching over raw food, chewing for hours. Over thousands of years, that animal's stomach shrank, and its skull grew. That same creature eventually built great cities and launched satellites into space. Today, every single morning, we walk into our kitchens and turn on a stove without even thinking about it. We are still connected to that original spark. You did not just learn how to cook your food. You were physically built for it, shaped by a wildfire that started long before you were ever born.